very happy hump day to everyone out there. Very good Wednesday morning. Landon here with you to bring you your latest weather and not forecast from our friends over it on Target. Getting a look out here, folks, we are going to have some righteous winds to deal with here as we progress and work throughout this Wednesday. We can get a look at what's going to be creating these very strong winds out here. It's going to be a tightening pressure gradient that's going to result from an area of high pressure located right here to our south and east, and then we got this low pressure right here and this approaching cold front out of the north and west. Folks, this is going to kick up very strong winds out of the south and west as we work throughout the day, and that is going to result in taking highs somewhere up between the low and mid 70s as we work into this afternoon. Get a more prominent weather maker we're keeping our eyes on Friday that could be bringing some strong and severe storms to the region. We'll be getting more into that here in just a moment. If we can get a look out here, we got the setting moon looking over the Morgantown sky cam early this morning. We had the full beaver moon there a few nights ago that is transitioned over and into what is left over and remaining of it out there. Same can be said overlooking the D93 sky cam, overlooking Bowling Green. We got the moon that is slowly fading. We got a few wispy mid and high level clouds out there, folks, and we are going to have to deal with that here as we progress and work throughout the day. Temperatures have stayed up thanks to those southerly winds. We're only hanging out right around the upper 40s, lower 50s region wide. As previously mentioned, folks, we're going to have to deal with these very strong winds. Low to mid 70s are pegged, so we're talking about a rise and a differentiation between this morning and peak heating this afternoon of 20 to 25, perhaps even 26, 27 degrees than what we are currently dealing with. Get a little bit better view here at the latest surface map. Give you a little bit better illustration. With high pressure set up right off of the southeast coast, the cold front and low pressure approaching, we are tightening up that pressure gradient. Whenever we tighten up the pressure gradient within our atmosphere, that is what the resulting factor is those wind speeds really kicking up out there, and that is in fact what we're going to be dealing with throughout the entirety of today. Let's jump over here and let's take a gander, shall we? First and foremost, we are dealing with these wind speeds. Here we are rolling past sunrise. We already got wind speeds upwards of 15 to 20 miles an hour. As we work throughout the day, we're going to have wind gusts of 25 to 35 miles an hour at times that cannot be ruled out, all right? As we get into this evening, the loss of daytime heating after the front passes, still going to be keeping winds out there. They're not going to be nearly as strong, however, just down to around the 15 or so miles an hour as we work into that point in time, all right? So let's swing over here and let's get a gander. We're going to showcase how these temperatures are going to be on somewhat of a pendulum swing here with this dry front that's going to pass through. So those strong southerly winds, we're going to be taking highs up. Guidance is showcasing right around the 70-degree mark, folks. I think a few of us are going to catapult all the way up to the mid-70s this afternoon. Models can underdo southwesterly flow from time to time. I think that's what we're seeing out there this morning. It's not want to take highs out of the 60s. I'm expecting lower up to mid-70s, a possibility for all of us. Behind the cold front, those winds are going to turn out of the north and west, and you can see here, by the time we work into the peak heating of our Thursday afternoon, we're going to be hanging out roughly 10, 15 degrees cooler than what we are this afternoon for highs. So, looking at low to mid-70s today. Tomorrow, we're looking at low to mid-60s across the board. And then we work into our Friday, and along and ahead of a passing strong cold front, we're going to take highs back up to around that 70-degree reading, all right? Now, we need to talk about that on Friday of what's going to be unfolding, because this is how our surface setup is going to appear. Cold front approaching here out of the north and west. It could result in a few strong storms Friday, but folks, my confidence is not very high in how many strong and severe storms we're going to see. We got several question marks regarding this particular weather maker. As a cold front comes through, models are having trouble initiating a lot of storms to really get going, but we've got storm fuel that's known as CAPE that is very low and mitigated with this weather maker. But we've got shear, the change of wind speed and direction with height, that is going to be absolutely rocking and rolling. So again, we're going to be looking at a damaging wind threat. Will be coming along with this. Will be our primary concern. Very little in the way of lightning and maybe even thunder. Just going to be a typical fall and winter like setup where we have high shear, low cape environment, where we can get some very, very gusty rain showers that can pass through here. Might bring a damaging wind event or two to the region. That'll be worth keeping eyes on, but that's kind of where we're sitting at this point in time, all right? You can see what we're lacking. Here we are looking at the storm energy, the cape that we were just talking about. By the time we roll into our Friday, look at these readings. Cape valuations at the magnitude of 200, 300, 400 joules per kilogram. That is not very impressive whatsoever. Then we can jump over here and we can compare that with the shear values and take a look at the shear readings by the time we roll into our Friday afternoon, into our Friday evening. Bulk shear of the magnitude of 50 to 65 knots. That is rather impressive, but again, without much storm fuel to feed that, damaging winds look to be our primary concern. Let's talk about after this cold front passes, because we got another big weather story to discuss. That cold front's going to work through here, folks, and look at the weekend. Here we are getting into Saturday afternoon, working into Sunday morning. We get another cold front that blasts through here, but folks, the real weather story, Canadian high pressure gonna fly in here behind that area of low pressure. This monster trough is gonna set up here on the eastern tier of the U.S. and this is gonna be bringing a drastic drop in our temperatures to start out the new work week. Here we are progressing into the early hours of our Monday, and yes, you are looking at this correctly. Could be looking at the first snowflakes of the season. Could have a little clipper come in here with wraparound moisture on the backside of that low to bring a little dousing of snow there. The exact intensity of these snow bands remain to be seen, but we'll be keeping very close eyes on it. Folks, right now models are not taking highs above the 30s on Monday, with overnight lows dipping down to the 20s. We're going to have wind chills down to the teens to deal with at times. First taste of old man winter going to roll in here. And folks, again, rolling into the Monday time frame, we'll have to keep eyes on this. Dare I say it, might get a sparse little coating on the ground if we get cold enough temperatures to work in here behind that passing front. So a very, very busy setup here over the next week in regards to our sensible weather impacts in and around the Wobbles community, all right? So let's shift back over here. Let's get back to the short-term models, or get back to the short-term forecast and take a look at the latest from the Storm Prediction Center. Wobbles community has been listed at 2 out of 5 as severe weather risk from the Storm Prediction Center. And again, folks, already previously mentioned, we got the opportunity at a few damaging winds out there. If we get enough low-level shear and spin and dynamics, we might have a isolated tornado spin up to deal with. But primary concern looks to be damaging winds with this working through here. Total rainfall amounts doesn't look like it's going to be a ton, but anywhere from roughly 1/4 of an inch upwards to 3/4 of an inch or even an inch of total precipitation will be possible before this is all said and done. Full 6-day weather forecast. The temperature pendulum swing takes place today through Friday. Low and mid 70s today, low and mid 60s Wednesday or Thursday, and then low to mid 70s on Friday. Don't forget, folks, today 25-35 mile an hour winds. Not going to feel great out there despite the warmth. Saturday, we're going to hold before the arrival of the next weather maker, and then the cold front passes late Saturday night into our Sunday, bringing hit-miss rain chances along with it. Low to mid-50s underneath cloud cover on Sunday, and then there on Monday, folks, I think our model guidance there is overdone temperatures up to the lower 40s. I think many of us will not be escaping the mid and upper 30s for highs. Overnight lows down to the 20s. Got a likelihood of our first hard freeze of the season working in here during that time as well. Friends, it's going to wrap up your Wednesday morning Hump Day edition of your Weather or Not forecast, presented by none other than On Target. You all take care of yourselves and each other. Have a fantastic